Donald Trump is going to be reinstated as an active member of Facebook 2 years after facing a long-term suspension over his role in instigating, that little coup, oops. He was banned for 2 years, and they said in 2021 that eventually it probably would lapse, and that is indeed what they did. They've continued to evaluate the level of threat that he might conduct another coup. They apparently feel like that's probably not going to happen. So stick a pin in that prediction and we'll all find out together. Nick Clegg is the company's president of global affairs, and he had this to say about the divisive decision. He wrote that Trump's accounts would be reinstated in the coming weeks, but that he will face, quote, heightened penalties if he breaks the social media giant's content rules, saying the public should be able to hear what their politicians are saying, the good, the bad, and the ugly, so they can make informed choices at the ballot box. But that does not mean that there are no limits to what people can say on our platform. Again, lest you believe that Donald Trump's ability to communicate what passes for thoughts in his pea brain was limited only to whether he was on Facebook or not, I will remind you that he is a billionaire who owns another social media company, actively participates in a number of others, is able to do rallies and press conferences, has acolytes of his posting his missives onto Twitter, many people discussing him. He goes on many podcasts, he goes on many right-wing shows, he appears on Newsmax and OAN. But thank you, Nick Clegg. People had no ability to hear what he was saying. Anyway, he continues to say, our determination is that the risk to public safety that existed in January 2021 has sufficiently receded, and that we should therefore adhere to the 2-year timeline we set out. As such, we will be reinstating his Facebook and Instagram accounts in the coming weeks. So not only can he post on Facebook, raise money on Facebook, but his thirst traps might soon be coming back to your Instagram feed. So watch out for that.
Yeah, so I'm secretly a little torn on this. Drums, okay. So number one, I love the debate about did he instigate January 6th? No, I got my money on Pat Leahy, the retiring senator from Vermont, okay. But if it wasn't him, it was probably the Mohandas. Mahatma Gandhi. Who else organized January 6th and instigated it to send them to go to the Capitol? How is this a debate? We constantly have these nonsensical debates. So of course Trump egged them on. Of course he wanted that result. He encouraged it after he knew that it was happening and refused to quell it. He said these are all super obvious unless you enter the mind warping place called American media, where we debate, is the sky blue? Is grass green? We debate it, okay? So right wingers say Democrats are grass groomers. Okay, anyways, now at the same time, why am I saying I'm a little conflicted on this? Look, he was the president of the United States. His comments were that instigated the riots, etc., were oblique and arguably oblique. Okay, he didn't say go and kill them. He didn't say go and find Mike Pence and murder him. That was the result, and he said to his staffers that he didn't mind that result, but he didn't say that on Facebook. He said it to his chief of staff. Yeah. Okay, and so, and he's running for president, and people and Nick Clegg's full of crap. He says, oh yeah, the threat has receded. What are you talking about? There was a poll 2 days ago that Donald Trump would win the presidency today. If it was held today, he would beat Joe Biden by 4 points.
I think he means the threat of another insurrection.
Yeah, and then he would immediately do another insurrection. I mean, first of all, he wouldn't have to because he'd win. But then second of all, when it came time to leave, I mean, then that's his second term, right? He probably wouldn't leave because that's what he does. And he said it 1,000 times, right? So, so the threat hasn't quote unquote receded. But on the other hand, are we really gonna say that the guy's gonna run for president and we're not gonna allow him on social media? I don't know.
So can anyone who's currently banned from Facebook run for president and they get their accounts back?
No, so that's why it's a tough question. No, I get it. That's why it's a tough question. But John, are you super sure where you would draw the line? So,
I want to be very clear. I don't especially care. I mean, personally, because I don't go on Facebook, the idea of going and it seems like madness to me at this point. And I think they're fully legally allowed as a private corporation to choose who goes on there. I think it's probably unwise for Facebook, considering years and years of people, ever increasingly believing that they're having a deleterious effect on democracies around the world. Bringing him back on after all of the criticism you've rightly received for how much you let him get away with, it seems like a weird choice. People already don't like Facebook. I don't think this is going to especially help. I would say, they say there's going to be heightened scrutiny. Okay, well, we already know exactly what he's going to do on the platform. He's going to reject the outcome of elections. He's going to encourage people to support other candidates who will do that. He's going to spread QAnon memes. He's going to spread all of that nonsense. So now we get to look and see if Nick Clegg is as good as his word.
Yeah, but so first of all, how is it different than mainstream media? Because as you pointed out, he's all over these other traditional media shows, right? So traditionally, you have to remember that there's a second agenda here. The secret agenda nobody talks about. Traditional media despises digital media because it's competition, and it's competition that's winning. So they want to do every negative article about Facebook, YouTube, etc. that they could, TikTok, as they could possibly do. So they will have, an outlet will have Donald Trump on their air, and then turn around and go, I can't believe Facebook would let Donald Trump on their platform. Wait, you just had him on. I don't. You just did a giant story about him. You just promoted exactly what he said on his stupid Truth Social account. So how is this consistent at all? It's not. It's an attack against social media, and so that's part of it too. Let's keep it real. Now, there's another absurdity, which is everybody pretending that Facebook is liberal or left wing or progressive or whatever. What are you guys talking about? They're like, I wonder why they're letting him back on. Part of the reason they're letting him back on because Facebook is conservative. So look, their executives, a lot of them are Republicans. Their entire political team, or almost their entire PR team, are all Republicans. Nick Clegg is a conservative from the UK. So here he is being like, oh, the guy I agree with, 98%. Well, we've vetted him and we think that he might be okay now. What are you talking about? You largely agree with the guy on almost everything. This whole thing is a facade, it's theater. So, and one other thing, look, if you look at the top 10 posts on Facebook every day, 8 or 9 of them will be from conservative outlets, 3 to 5 of them will be Daily Wire. So every day. So there's only 2 potential options as to why that's happening. One is, everybody's being honest and fair, and it turns out Facebook users are really conservative. And so why wouldn't you let them get the guy that they like? And Donald Trump's not any different than the Republican voters. The Republican voters to this day have him beating DeSantis by like 26 points in the last poll. Why? Not because they're different than Donald Trump, but because they're exactly like Donald Trump, right? So what are you gonna do, ban half your users or 60% of your users or whatever it is? By the way, of course, there's a second option, which is that Facebook executives are so conservative that it's not that the Facebook users are conservative, it's that they're letting somehow, golly gee, conservatives win every single day in the content they push out.
Well, I mean, we already know that they use content farms and networks of pages to spread the same thing, which is an explicit violation of the terms of service and all that. I don't think that that's the whole reason that they're popular. I think all of their content is the lowest common denominator designed to create fear and hatred and jealousy and all of that. I think that's another argument potentially for Facebook to not have that sort of content flood their service because it makes it a toxic place that people don't want to spend time on. That's part of the argument against Elon Musk's impact on Twitter, is that sure, you can allow the algorithm to boost this stuff. Will it actually result in a place that anyone reasonable wants to be is a different question. Again, they're a private company. They can let on whoever they want. I don't go on there. It doesn't particularly bother me. I just think we need to add some of the context that we have so far.
So, and I'll add last couple of pieces of context. Look, we're on Facebook, Young Turks is. A lot of you watch us on Facebook. So there's plenty of progressives and moderate and sane people on Facebook. They're, in a sense, we're a partner of theirs, so they certainly have progressives on, and they have deals with progressives. And I don't know that anybody's reading any algorithm to make sure that Daily Wire constantly wins on there. But like I said, it's one or the other. It's either that one, which is maybe less likely, or hey, apparently a lot of users are conservative. So, which leads me to my final point, which is, Look, a lot of the right-wing media organizations on Facebook do really inflammatory videos of black people attacking white people. And it's not like, oh, well, there was a news event and hey, we're just covering it, right? No, they'll go back years, sometimes decades, to find old videos and largely pretend that they're new videos because they know that it super pisses off white conservatives.
Yep.
And so, oh, here's a clip, they don't tell you it's from 2007, of one random black guy beating up some white person. And they're like, and they push that kind of toxic stuff day in, day out, that further radicalizes the audience, divides the country, etc. So we're talking about Donald Trump. We're talking about Donald Trump. So no, that kind of stuff and much worse is allowed on all the social media platforms and in a lot of ways, mainstream media. Super last thing. I mean, look who drove this giant like panic over black crime in the 80s, 90s, 2000s, etc. Mainstream media, local news. Here's a black suspect, can you believe it? And they would literally test, and white suspects, and there were way more white suspects, wouldn't get as good ratings.
Yeah.
So they showed more black suspects.
Yep.
What the hell was that? That was an early version of an algorithm that divided the country and pushed racism, brought to you by mainstream media.
Yeah, and the final thing, this is the most legitimate reason that I think they do well on Facebook, is they have countless millions of dollars given to them by billionaires to spend on advertising. I mean, every leftist channel combined, does it spend $10,000 a year in advertising on Facebook? No, the Daily Wire spends literally millions of dollars promoting their posts. So yeah, it's gonna reach a lot more people. That's perfectly legitimate, you can do that. We just should point out that they have this monetary advantage that no leftist organization has ever had or ever will have.
Luckily, Steven Crowder's on it. He's gonna stop Big Con and Big Tech working together.
Yeah. He's never benefited from the algorithm.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.